Hello, everyone. Like I said in the email that I sent out earlier, today's OT activity, you can do an outside version or an inside version or mix and match based on what works best at your house. So I was going to do an outside version, but they're doing a lot of landscaping next door and it's loud. So I wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me. I'm going to pretend that I'm outside. I've got my outside items here on the floor. And then we'll head over to the table for the inside version of these activities. So the first thing is that I went around outside and I collected different pieces of grass, different pieces of wood chips, different sizes and shapes, a little bit of flour, and then different leaves from different plants. So small leaves, medium, one that has a different shape to it, and then these ones as well. I know it looks like poison ivy. It's not poison ivy. It's from our clematis bush. So you can collect a variety of different things from outside that you're going to use to trace on either the sidewalk, if you have a space that you can use outside, or you can bring it inside and trace it on a piece of paper. But I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit to show you how we're going to use these things to make your own puzzle. So I've got my piece of paper taped on the floor here to pretend like it is my sidewalk. So I'm going to take my leaf and lay it down on the paper, holding it with one hand and then tracing with the other. I'm just going to trace the outline of the shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, just so it's the basic shape of that leaf. And then I might take a different color of chalk, and maybe I'll do one of these great big long pieces of grass and trace over that. And then another color for my flowers. You could either do all of these flowers together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break off one tiny little flower and then trace that. That's actually two, but that's fine. And then maybe I'll do some of my wood chip pieces too. I'll do this square piece. And I'll do one more because in my email I said, let's do 5. So I'll do this textured leaf here. It's good for your children to pick these different things and then also to feel the different textures in their hands. That increases their awareness of their fingers, increases their finger strength when they're picking them up and holding them. So now that I've got 5 things outlined on my paper, I'm going to take them all off and then mix them up and see, can I tell where they go based on their shape? That one does not fit in there. It's too wide. Let's see. Okay, it goes here. This one's easy because it's shaped like a square. So if you use items that are all different, like I did, then your puzzle will be easier. If I were to take this leaf and this leaf and this leaf, if I did all leaves in my puzzle, then that would be a harder puzzle. Or if I did 3 of my wood chips, then I would have to look at the specific differences. Well, which one's bigger? Which one's skinnier? Which one's longer? Or if I were to take off, this would be really hard, if I were to take off small pieces of these flowers, then you would really have to pay attention to how big, what size, what shape. So if you use things that are very similar, it will be a harder puzzle. And if you use things that are quite different, then it will be easier to decide which shape goes where. And then I'm going to flip my paper over. And then we can practice with these same items, practice making some different letters. So I'm going to stick with what we've been doing, which is magic C letters are going to be in yellow. So I'm going to put, let's just spell a word, a fun summertime word. Let's spell camp. So magic C turns into an A, and then I've got some divers, M, and then a P. So the parents can make the letter shapes so that the child can see the right way to make them. And then I'm also going to put a start star on all of my letters. As a reminder, where do these letters start? Whenever your child is using these items to make the word, they'll have that little reminder there. So I'm going to use the grass and I'm going to tear it up into little pieces so that it fits nicely. If I were to just try to put it on the letter, it's too big as is. So I'm going to tear up the grass, put over top of the C. And then let's switch to do something different. Let's use our little flower pieces for the A. Magic C. Up like a helicopter. Bump. And then back down, bump. So you could do this with any of the materials that you collect from outside and then use them to put over top of the letter shapes for practice. Like I said earlier, the different textures are a great way to make different connections in your child's brain so they can learn all of those letter formations in a slightly different way. I'm going to pause this for a second while we head over to the table for the inside version of these activities. Okay, we are up at the table for the indoor version of the make your own puzzle activity and the letter practice. So what I have here, I'll try to hold it up for you, is the indoor items that I could use. You could use anything. You could use toy cars, you could use Legos, you could use action figures. These are just things that I had available as examples. If I were to use all these forks and all these spoons, it would be harder because you would have to decide what exact shape is the bottom of the spoon. Is it kind of a flower shape or is it a straighter shape? Those small details, those will be harder puzzles for your child to do versus if I do a screwdriver and a spoon, those things have a lot of differences. It will be easier for your child to make that distinction when they're doing their puzzle. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the chalk. I would recommend using a crayon if you're going to be tracing household items. If you use a marker, it will get on the side of your item and then probably get on your hands, which is okay, but just be aware that might happen. I'm going to trace my spoon here. And I am going to put 2 spoons in my puzzle just for a little bit of a challenge to see, can I tell the difference between my 2 spoons? So I'm going to put a small spoon and I'm going to put a bigger spoon another place in my puzzle. Let's put it upside down. Got a little bit of a bump there where I hit my finger, but that's okay, as long as we can see the shape of the item that we're tracing. Move those out here, 1, 2, my little screwdriver. Let's add the tape into the mix. And then a fork. And then just like our outside puzzle, we can take all these things off, mix them up, and then the challenge is, can you tell what goes where? So this spoon, nope, not quite the right size, must be this spoon. The tape's an easy one to tell. Fork must go here, spoon here, and then your screwdriver. So this works on those visual perceptual skills of analyzing different shapes. And you're always doing that when you're looking at different letters. Which letter is which? It's those visual perceptual skills. So if you choose to do items like this, you obviously can't make letters out of a spoon. It's too big, it's not bendable. So what you can do is you can either use some items that you've already collected from outside, but you might not be able to use sidewalk chalk. You could use outside items, or you could just use paper like we did last week for our letter collage. This week though, I'm going to show you something a little bit different that you can do. Rather than just ripping into small pieces, I think it's fun to rip and crumble for a little bit of a 3D effect. So for my C, I've already added flower petals for that one. But for my A, I'm going to rip and crumble pieces of paper to make that A shape. So the parent has already written the letters and marked the start dot. I've got orange here for my magic C letters and then blue for my divers. Letters that don't have a specific type, I just put in the gray color. So I'm not going to make you sit and watch while I do all of these letters. I just wanted to give you a good idea of how to use these items and these activities to work on those fine motor skills, those visual perceptual skills to match the different shapes and sizes and details of items, and then another fun way that you guys can work on practicing those letters for handwriting. Thank you, everybody. If you didn't get the email earlier and you're watching this video now, just remember no live Zoom today because everybody's situation for this activity is going to be so different. Some people might want to go outside. Some people might want to go outside for a little bit and then come back inside. It would be a lot for us to all manage at once. So go ahead and do this activity on your own time, following these guidelines. I hope you guys enjoy it. See you next week.